Here we are.
Hey.
We're still working out the bugs on this new streaming service thing that we have. I don't even know what you call it. It's a streaming studio for the podcast. Are we live? This is live now?
We are live and in color. Live and in living color. You remember that show? In living color.
Yeah.
We live in living color.
You might never know that this is episode 100 of the God Squad pod, given what's just happened.
We could do it. We could do a do-over if you want.
But here we are again. And I do just want to say thank you to everybody who tunes in or downloads the show. I learned today that the God Squad pod, by virtue of our hundreds of weekly downloads, is in the top 10% of all podcasts anywhere in the world.
Oh,
which, yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, I Googled it today, and it said that it says more than 29 downloads in 7 days places you in the top 50%. Top 10% requires 417 downloads. Top 5 needs 1,000 plus. And we are sitting, somewhere between 600 and 700 downloads a week. So, hey, yes. And this is episode awesome. 100 of the God Squad pod. So we are thankful for our listeners, and we are grateful to continue to be able to do this. While the kakistocracy of fascist lunatics is running amok, and an 80-year-old predator is going senile before our eyes and physically falling apart before our eyes, and talking about how the Islamic Empire of Japan sent a bunch of missiles. Godzilla.
What's the name of the country again?
The Islamic Empire of Japan, and Godzilla could not be reached for comment because he was headed to the Strait of Hormuz, apparently, to go take care of some business, because he's, the leading representative of the Islamic Empire of Japan. He also pointed at Volodymyr Zelensky and said, "Do you have a question for President Putin?" And then he said, "Oh, I'm going to pretend to be Putin. Just ask me, and I'll just tell you what Putin would say."
That's
in front of the whole world. The United States president said this.
That's quite disturbing. He's done a lot of disturbing things though since he's been over there. One of the things that he's been doing is getting lost, walking around there. People are having to guide him here and there off the stage. And can you imagine? I hate saying this because we just say this so often, but can you imagine if that was Biden? It would never be Obama on trying to get confused about where to be going, but it could definitely be Biden. But could you imagine if it was Biden, what they would be saying? And didn't he fall asleep too since he was over?
Oh yeah. During a UN meeting, of heads of state and stuff, he's crashed out in the chair, and the camera's right on him, and he goes this, and he does that like at the United Nations.
But if you ask Marco Rubio, he never,
or NATO, one of them things. Yeah.
He has never fallen asleep in a meeting. Not in any meeting ever. Not even right next to me.
Inconveniently, dude was taking a nap while Marco Rubio was saying that.
Yes, don't believe your lying eyes. No, he does not sleep. He blinks long.
When Marco Rubio sold his soul, I wonder what he thought he was getting in return. Because that dude, he looks like he knows that he's got a succubus attached to him in the name of Donald Trump.
He has no life. He has no life in his eyes anymore. You know what I'm saying?
You make a Faustian bargain. Hey, you made your bed. You get to lie down in it.
Yes.
And Mike Johnson running around saying this is not a war. This is not a war. It's certainly not a fucking ceasefire, because we bombed the United States bombed a bunch of targets again in Iran. And then while he was being interviewed or sitting next to Zelensky, he started describing how the United States is going to start taking out electrical grids and desalination plants. You can't.
Yeah, that's a war crime.
And he's just like, I really don't want to do this. I really don't. But that's what we're going to have to do. The dude is sitting there describing war crimes. Somebody fucking arrest him already. If he leaves the country, just arrest his ass. I think the whole world would applaud at that point if somebody would just do that. Yeah. But what else have we got in the world of breaking news and bad theology?
Well, in some breaking news in the Democratic arena is Plattner,
right?
The candidate for Maine
Maine, yeah,
has dropped out amidst credible multiple allegations. Well, here's the thing, he had multiple allegations before, right. But I guess the woman, she didn't like come out and give her identity or something before. I'm not sure the dynamics there as far as, but the allegations are not new, I don't think. I just think she didn't come before cameras before and like say, I'm the woman, this is what happened.
Right.
But there were allegations.
We brought a bunch of receipts.
Yes. Sorry about the noise. So I think that what is the new thing is her doing a live interview, giving, in detail exactly what happened. And then another woman came out too.
Oh, another one did. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard that.
So I don't know how many it is now, but I'm being careful because I'm gonna say so. I was thinking about whether I wanted to say this or not, but I'm gonna just say it. I am gonna say something controversial. First thing I'm gonna say is the motherfucker's a creep, and I don't know why he waited so long to drop out.
Right.
He should have dropped out when the shit first hit the fan. I hate when they try to. I don't know what it is they try to do, but what they're trying to salvage. I don't know. All of them do it. It's not a Democrat or Republic thing. It's a men in power thing.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, men in power. You could probably count on one hand the number of sexual scandals for women in power. It's a men in power thing. And that's whether it is in the pulpit, from the podium, in the church, in the precinct, in the preschool, or whatever, wherever the fuck it's at. Priests, pastors, politicians, coaches, professors. It's a men in power thing. And I don't know what the fuck they be waiting on when they're found out. I don't know what they're trying to establish. I don't know what took them so long. But the thing that's not controversial. The thing that is that and shout out to the Democrats for not slow walking his boot to his ass. They was like the same day. They were like,
just like Swalwell. When the fertilizer hit the ventilator with Swalwell, they were like, nope, get the fuck out.
Bye. Now here, I want to get it. There's no perfect party, and there's no, I'm not giving them too much of a bone, but I am going to throw a bone to the Democrats over the Republicans on that front. When they have a fucked up candidate, they haul ass on that, whoever it is. Like, it's like, nope, back. You know what I'm saying? Republicans cannot say the same. You literally got an adjudicated rapist sitting in the White House right now with
right. But they did say, but they have you seen their social media stuff? And what Kevin McCarthy said, when the Republicans get a bad candidate, we don't vote for him. And then the Republicans were like, every Democrat that endorsed Plattner endorsed a racist. Well, those endorsements came way before the allegations, right?
Yes, they came before the allegations. Not only that, I don't know what centimeter of room the Republicans have for talking about somebody endorsing racist or rapists. Right, because Donald Trump said on the Access Hollywood,
that he sexually assaults women routinely because he's a star and he can get away with it. And they ran that motherfucker 3 times.
3, and you got people that voted for him every single time. And if he could run again, they vote for him again.
Right. So miss me with your gaslighting bullshit, Republican Party.
I think Swalwell lasted 48 hours.
Yeah, like that shit was like
it was by the weekend. He was, I don't know when the thing came out. By the weekend, he was out.
By the big reveal, he was gone.
He was gone. Okay. Plattner, he lasted a couple days, I think 4 days or something. I don't know how long. And Plattner, did you see his little speech, his little video?
His little Darvo thing?
His little video he did on the way out the door, his little salty ass video.
Yeah, where he didn't take any responsibility.
No, he didn't take any responsibility.
And he said it was trying to crush a movement.
Yes, he's probably about to catch a defamation case, because I think if I was that woman and I came out against you and then you called me a lot, like Eugene Carroll, and shout out to Eugene Carroll, because the courts was like, pay that lady. Right. This week, all the way up to the Supreme Court and back down. You know, he tried to use the Supreme Court for everything. The Supreme Court was like, we ain't even getting into that. And then the appeals court was like, pay that lady, just pay that lady. So he's doing his best to keep her from getting paid, because she said she's donating every dime. Right. To causes in his name that he can't stand. Right. Victims, Planned Parenthood, all this like domestic abuse shelters and things. She said she's donating every single dime. And they know that because they filed an appeal for the money not to be dispersed, because they said she has already promised that she's going to donate it to third parties and they won't be able to get it back if they win on appeal. You ain't going to win on appeal. You lost. You lost 3 years ago. Right. Pray that lady. This is
Donald Trump's MO for his whole career of sordid illegality, is to deny, obfuscate, push things around, and try to keep it kicking the can down the road until people get mad and then they forget about it or whatever, and then he ain't got to pay up. Well, yeah, you got to pay up this time.
And the controversial thing I was going to say about Plattner was not that it's men in power. And I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I don't think I'm the only one who feels this way. Let me first give a disclosure before I say what I'm about to say, because I already know it's going to be ruffle some feathers. Everyone heals differently. Everyone has to sit with whatever happened to them differently. Everyone grieves differently. Everyone handles trauma differently. There's no time limit on when you should be allowed to speak on something that has happened to you. Right. And just because you didn't speak on it when it happened, it doesn't mean that you don't deserve justice. That being said, it irritates the fuck out of me when these women come forth at the very last fucking minute. He made the announcement, you didn't say shit. They run for a fucking year and you don't say shit. They get nominated and you don't say shit. And you don't come forward until they're about fucking sworn in. And it gets on my fucking nerves. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't believe you don't have a right to speak. And it doesn't mean that I believe you deserved what happened. And it doesn't mean that I believe you should just get somewhere and shut the fuck up. But why can't you speak the fuck up sooner? I cannot stand that shit. Because by the time somebody fucking gets nominated and they're about to walk into the fucking office, then here the fuck you come with some shit you've been sitting on for 30 motherfucking years, and now it looks like it's illegitimate, even though it is legitimate. Now it looks like a political hit job, even though it isn't. Now it looks like someone paid you to go on mainstream media and bring a candidate down that the establishment doesn't want to run because they're progressive, even though that's not how the fuck it happened. And it irritates the fuck out of me. Why didn't you say something when the motherfucking bastard announced he was gonna run? Why didn't you say something for the fucking year and a half he was on the campaign trail? You wait till hundreds of thousands of people vote for the motherfucker when he's about ready to get sworn in, and then to say. Now, I know that's controversial, but that's how the fuck I feel, and I got a right to feel that way as a person on both sides of it. I've been in the position that some of these women are in. So I know the fuck what it means to be feeling guilty, to be feeling scared, to be feeling whatever the fuck you're feeling. But I would be lying to our listeners, to our viewers, and to myself if I didn't say it doesn't break my fucking nerves that women do this. They announce, you don't say nothing. They campaign for a fucking year, you don't say nothing. I guess you're hoping they don't win. I don't know the psychology behind it.
It might be that they're hoping that they don't win, because then if they don't win, they don't have to be dragged through the spotlight or something. I don't know.
I don't know what it is. Kim, I don't know what it is, okay? And let me say this one more time for the people in the back. You're entitled to speak or not speak whenever the fuck you want to speak or not speak. However you're dealing with that trauma, you have a right to deal with it however you want to fucking deal with it. If you don't ever say anything at all, no one can say shit to you. If you decide you want to say something when you're 60 about something that happened when you were 15, that's also your right. But I would be lying if I didn't tell you that it irritates the fuck out of me that they wait to say something until these people are damn near elected, or even after they're elected. Where the fuck were you when they announced their candidacy? It's irritating as fuck. It's irritating. And I'm a woman saying that. Because now you're giving them the cover of it's a political hit job. The establishment doesn't want me. It's the state, it's the deep state. Whatever all that shit that they say. Because you literally sat on the sidelines for fucking over 12 months watching this person ascend to the high. Same thing with fucking, what's his name in California?
Swallow it.
Now that he looks like he's about to be the fucking governor because he was the front runner, now you got something to say. It's irritating. It's irritating as fuck. It's irritating. And I'm a woman saying that. I'm also a survivor saying that. And I have a right to say that. And I can sit in two places at once. These feelings are not mutually exclusive. I can say that it fucking irritates me. And I can say that they got a right to do it. It's irritating as fuck. There. Take it how you want to. Come for me if you want. Come for your mammy. I said what I said.
Well, he's done, and that's good. And the allegations are apparently, like, she backed it up with a lot of receipts, and him not taking any accountability and him pretending that this is all about a movement. There are other progressive Democrats that are running right now that are winning their prime, they're leading in the polls and looking like they're doing all right. And, Mom Donnie is doing what he's doing. So it's not, miss me with this is about them attacking the movement, not about me.
It's not about
Dude,
that. And he didn't take any ownership for what he did. None. And then you want to talk about we didn't decide to get in this. You know what? Another thing that irritates me, since I'm just going to be irritated today, is when these bastards get hemmed up in the bullshit and they immediately start talking we, like bring their wife into it and stuff. Swallow did the same thing. This is something, a private affair between me and my wife. When was it private between you and your wife? When you were sharing your privates with somebody besides your wife? All of a sudden, it's me and my wife. Every time. It don't matter what side of the political spectrum. As soon as they fuck up, it's me and my wife. Every time it's a sexual indiscretion. That shit is irritating. Where was your wife when you was sexting whoever you was, when you was banging your assistant in your office? Now it's you and your wife. Fuck you too. I'm just irritated with everybody today.
Well, James Tallarico is running for Senate in Texas, and they came after him for veganism, which he's not a vegan. They came after him for telling the truth about what the Bible says and all this. But Ken Paxton, during the USA 250 celebration, was in England with his mistress, and some people caught him on video, on the street, and he tried to run away and whatnot. So Ken Paxton is a philanderer. Ken Paxton is a felon. Ken Paxton is corrupt as all get out. Where is the GOP?
By his own party. He didn't get indicted. Yeah, they came short of kicking him out of office, but he got impeached by his own folks.
Right. And he apparently committed voter fraud 6 different times, which is also a brand new felony, which has been reported all over the news this week. Because the GOP is really big on voter fraud, but apparently Mr. Paxton committed voter fraud at least 6 times. But nobody in the Republican Party is telling him to step down. It's almost like there's a double standard. If you're Republican, you can just be as corrupt and as awful as you want to be. But the minute a Democrat does, and again, Graham Plattner should have dropped out when the Nazi tattoo thing came up.
He should have, because you know what that tattoo means.
Yeah,
he lied about his whole upbringing and all this humble upbringing. He was born into a wealthy family.
Oh, was he? I didn't know all that.
He went to private school. Yes, he's
oysterman.
Oysterman and this and that, but his mother owns the restaurant, and his mother is the primary buyer of his oysters. His father bought his house. He's mortgages with his daddy. So this whole, I'm just a basic guy just like you, all of that was a scam.
Yeah.
All of that was a scam. He's not just like you. He's a progressive version of Donald Trump. He came up with a silver spoon up his ass, and he's convincing poor people that he's just like them. He don't know. He wasn't never about the life.
Yeah. Well, I saw a lot of people talking about because Heather Cox Richardson is from Maine. She lives in Maine, the historian who does Letters from an American. And when this is all over, somebody needs to nominate her for the Congressional Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian honor you can get, because she's been telling the truth every damn day. Which one? Heather Cox Richardson.
Oh, yeah. Another one that they're sleeping on is Max Miller, the one who beat his wife and stuff. I don't know if you know about him. That's the Republican one that's also running.
No, I didn't know about him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she said, this is not my skill set, and we need people that know how to be a senator. She's like, I don't know how to be a senator. I know how to do these things that I'm doing. I'm telling the truth and analyzing the political movements and the moments and all of that. But she's like, don't put me forward for it because I'm not running for the Senate. But apparently there's a handful of candidates, including a former state senator in Maine who is like a lifetime logger. There's a lot of logging in Maine, who used to be a state senator. He's very progressive, and he's going to run against Susan Collins. Hopefully, this whole fucking
thing gonna be blown over.
Graham Plattner will be a footnote on a successful race against Susan Collins, who is very concerned that Donald Trump has done the thing that he said he was going to do, but we can't hold him accountable. But then when he does the exact same thing again, she's also deeply concerned, and all of that.
Yeah, she's always concerned. She's so concerned, she's shaking all the time.
Right. Yeah.
And speaking of people shaking and infirm, where's your boy Mitch McConnell? Where's he at?
Yeah, the governor of Kentucky sent a letter to the McConnell's office and was like, "Hey, we need to know where the fuck you're at." And his wife took off to China and said, "My husband's health didn't necessitate me returning." Nobody knows where the man is.
I think he is incapacitated.
Yeah,
they had a coordinated campaign run the other day between the Republicans talking about, I spoke to him for 20 minutes. I spoke to him for 15 minutes. He's doing great. If he can speak to y'all motherfuckers for 15, 20, 17 minutes, he could get on video and speak to his constituents.
Or he could just, call a reporter from the Louisville Times or whatever.
I'm recovering. I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
No, and by the way AI is set up, I wouldn't accept a phone call. I wouldn't accept nothing but a live FaceTime where you have to put your hands in front of your face.
Right. That'd be helpful. But
because AI could act like somebody's alive when they're not. You could replicate somebody's voice. You could do all that stuff. So no, you need to be live in person. If I was the governor or whoever, what's his name? Is it Bashir?
Andy Bashir.
I would be like, y'all got 2 weeks. Y'all got 2 weeks. I'm calling a special election because the governor can do that.
Right. Yeah, he can.
I'm calling a special election in 2 weeks. I need proof of life. He either got to be alive or not incapacitated.
Yeah, he's got to be able to fulfill the functions of his office. And you know what they're trying to do?
We don't have to wait for him to come out of a coma. They're trying to wait till I think August 3rd.
Yeah. Because
that's the deadline.
Right.
That they can't do a special election after August the 3rd.
Right.
Or something like that.
And we all know that Mitch McConnell was an obstructionist the whole time. That's why we've got the Supreme Court that we've got, is because Mitch McConnell illegally, and this is what fucking drives me crazy. What he did was unconstitutional and illegal, and there was no accountability, there's no recourse, and now we got fucking Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, another predator. Because Christine Blasey Ford was telling the truth. So
now kudos to her. She did come out as soon as he became a candidate.
Right.
She didn't wait until he was time to be sworn in. She did come out as soon as he became a viable candidate.
Right.
So kudos to her. I will say that about her.
Yeah. And in other truly horrific news, ICE shot and killed another person in Texas, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. And as soon as it happened, they went to the same playbook that they've gone to every time. Tried to ram the car, feared for my life, shot and killed. And
it's the same story.
It's the same story that's been debunked multiple other times. I am not saying that that's what happened here. I'm just saying that there is a pattern. Where's the footage? They've enacted a pattern again of shooting an unarmed man. They were in unmarked vehicles.
So he didn't know who they were anyway.
Right. And he's got thousands of dollars worth of construction tools and stuff. Right? There's no telling, because this regime
and he also doesn't have any criminal record.
Right. No criminal record whatsoever. And for he was here illegally. It is a civil offense, just like jaywalking.
It's a misdemeanor.
It is not a criminal offense. It is a civil offense to be in the United States. And the man put three kids through college, and working his ass off.
The thing about they're here illegally, that's becoming it's like a moot thing to me, because you are overturning executive orders and making people that were here legally here illegal.
Right, with the TPS thing.
Yes, with the TPS shit. People are going to their court-mandated appointments at immigration office and getting deported. People are going to their hearings that they have to come to every year, annually. They're showing up for their hearings like they're supposed to, and they're getting deported. So that whole thing here illegally, that doesn't even matter. It's a non-factor. The nun, they arrested the nun on her way to mass.
Right.
Over there, where was that?
In South Texas.
Yeah, so it's not about illegal or legal. It's about in cruelty, intimidation, oppression, and just wickedness. It doesn't have anything to do with illegally, because you literally made hundreds of thousands of people that were legal a month ago are not legal today.
Right. And Mr. Araujo had gone because he was working on getting his legal status. And apparently that's how ICE started tracking him, is because he had gone and gotten fingerprinted and doing what he's supposed to do. And the Trump administration said, we're going after the worst of the worst, the criminals. It's not, man had no criminal record. He was just a hard working person who happened to be Mexican and in Houston. And fucking spoiler alert, Texas used to be fucking Mexico until James
like people say, we didn't cross the border crossed us. That's what people say, and it's true. That whole region used to be part of Mexico, not just Texas. It was all down there.
Yeah, and it was an illegal war, intentionally provoked by the Polk administration and the army, who intentionally crossed the border to instigate a fight. To then, it was like Gulf of Tonkin, 19th century style. So for anybody who doesn't know, go look up the Mexican-American War or the War of American Incursion, because that's how California and New Mexico and Texas and all that shit, Arizona, became part of the United States. Became part of the United States. I got an ambulance outside the door. So that, and I learned today that there's some kind of special task force in Memphis that the Trump regime has set up, and they've shot like 4 different people recently. I saw this on Democracy Now's headlines today, and at least 3 of the 4 were black. So
I'm not surprised. It's blacks and browns. It's easy targets. Because I promise you, do you know how many? There's probably millions, and I do mean millions, of white immigrants here who overstayed their visas, who are here illegally, and they could just walk up and down the street without a care in the world.
Right.
Without a care in the world. And the thing about overstaying your visa, you already have a visa. That means they have all your information. They could look you up. They could find out where you work. That means you've been issued social security numbers, green cards, all that stuff. Not green card. The people who have those visas, those temporary visas and stuff, they're not going for them. They're not deporting them. They're not going. They don't have nothing to worry about.
Right.
Because those are the right kind, like the Afrikaners. Those are the right kind of folks we want here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because
they're not being coy about that. They didn't told you flat out.
Right. Why can't we be having Norwegians and Swedens come over here?
Because why would they come from their countries are better? Why would they come over here?
Go look at the Global Happiness Index, and you'll know why the fuck they ain't coming here.
They got free education, universal health care. They don't have guns on every fucking corner. They don't have to worry about schools getting shot up. Why would they come over here?
They got like 48 weeks of paid maternity leave.
Right. What? Yeah. That's why they're not coming.
Why come to a shithole country run by a tin-pot fascist sexual predator and his goon squad of people like Stephen Miller and Caroline Leavitt and Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent, that dude, oh my gosh. I'm a pacifist, y'all. I really am, I swear. But that dude's got a punchable face. He's got a punchable face when he goes on the news and he starts talking about people shouldn't be worried about how the price of every fucking thing is going up.
And gas, I'm right across from a gas station, literally across the street from me. To my right is a gas station directly across the street, and I could see in real time the gas go up. It went up 20 cents from last night to today, based on the bombings and stuff from last night. It went up 20 cents. One day it went up 40 cents. And then they'll get on TV and tell you short-term pain for long-term gain. For whose long-term gain? And whose short-term pain? You're all not feeling any pain. It's the public that's feeling the pain. You all are playing rich people games with the stock market. Because every time that pumpkin-faced clown gets on TV and talk about we got a deal, y'all already know when he's going to make that announcement. You put your money here and there. And then it's not going to work out. So you make money going up and coming down. So you're betting on the shorts, you're betting on the loss, you're betting on the gain, you're betting on everything with insider trading information. Y'all are playing millionaire games and billionaire games, and we're paying the cost for that.
Right.
Because good and goddamn well, every time he says we got a deal, ain't no deal.
No, that
Everybody knew when he announced that MOU was because stuff was just going up, 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 up. When he
right.
announced the ceasefire, and now he goes over to the NATO. Old girl asked him, what she asked him, is the MOU? And he's like, yeah, it's done. They're scum. Do you know what scum is? I'm like, oh my God, just listening to him talk grates it's like nails on
And
a
then watching him
chalkboard.
do that fucking accordion thing that he's always
I
doing.
don't think he can help himself, especially when he's lying. It's like he got to do it. He can't not do that.
It's the man is an international embarrassment, and he's got the nuclear codes, and it should not be this way. I don't know if he was elected in a way that was above board. I have strong suspicions that he wasn't, because the world's richest man had access to things that could sway some swing states, and then Trump, said that
they said as much.
Musk knows all about these voting machines, and he really helped us out in Pennsylvania, which sounds an awful lot like a fucking admission to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But tonight we have some fundamentalist fuckwittery, and we don't do this very often, but sometimes we have a repeat offender. And if you go back to episode 9 of the God Squad pod, back from August of 2024, it's the first time that Doug Wilson was featured as the representative of fundamentalist fuckwittery. And he's in the news again because he sat down with Layla Fidel of National Public Radio in Moscow, Idaho. She is a reporter. She is a Muslim. She is a single childless woman. And I bet she had to go take about 5 showers to get the ick off after she sat down with him. I watched the entire 42-minute interview. And what I'm about to play is easily one of the most awful things you will hear a purported Christian ever say. And then we'll break it down on the other side. But this is Doug Wilson. Now, to remind those who are playing at home, he is the pastor. He is one of the founders of the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches. One of his acolytes is Brooks Pottinger, who is Pete Hegseth's pastor in Tennessee. Doug Wilson was invited by Hegseth to the Pentagon. Doug Wilson's Canon Press produces a bunch of homeschool materials and classical Christian education materials based on the hyper-conservative Calvinist model. Doug Wilson also founded a college where he trains ministers, although he has no theological degree himself. And he has created what is essentially a little fiefdom of Doug Wilson, Paleo Confederate, as he calls himself. And he wrote
he's a self-confessed white Christian nationalist.
Yes, he's a self-confessed white Christian nationalist who says he's not a racist, but he says a lot of racist things. He says he's not a misogynist, but then hear what he's about to say. And as Kristen Dumais, who we're going to very fortunately have on the show at some point later this summer, said he lies on purpose because he thinks that anybody who's not in covenant with him, he can just lie to. And basically anybody who's not a hyper-Calvinist fucking Christian nationalist. So he's hard to pin down sometimes. And I think that what you're about to see is him going to be trying to say things like plausible deniability. I'm not promoting rape culture. Listen to my words. But yeah, listen to his fucking words. Because this is what he said. And it's a little bit long, so bear with me. But I think y'all have to hear this to fucking believe it.
Now, you've talked about wanting patriarchy, and that's because you believe that men are supposed to protect women.
Provide and protect.
Provide and protect. But you also use words that don't feel Christian.
Okay.
Cunt, small-breasted biddies. You've spoken of the propriety of rape for women who reject patriarchy. So women who reject patriarchy, do they deserve protection?
Of course. So the that phrase, propriety of rape, a number of those things are gathered from people taking arguments out of context. Let me give you the propriety of rape thing as the
one consequence of rejecting the protection of good men is that you're opening yourself up to the predations of bad men. When they've walked away from the protections of fathers and brothers, what it amounts to is a tacit, implicit, in principle, not overt acceptance of the propriety of rape. This is
Right.
from a 2016 blog.
Correct. I'm not saying anything about the propriety of rape. What I'm saying is the women who do these things, they're the ones saying that. So if you refuse the protection of good men, then I'm saying you're the one asking for it.
Wow.
I'm pleading with you to stop asking for it. Provide and protect.
Provide and protect. But you also use words.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know where we just went. D goes back. The video cut off and started playing again. But you heard what the man said. If you don't submit to the kind of hyper patriarchal culture that I am demanding, then women, you are asking for it.
That's what it sounded like to me.
That is no different than saying, look at how she was dressed. Look at what she drank that night. She was asking for it. Now, he goes on later in the video in that same clip, and he starts talking about a guy who drives his car to a bad part of town. Now, you know exactly what kind of part of town that's paleo Confederate white supremacist dipshit means. And he says the guy leaves his wallet on the dashboard and then walks away, and then somebody comes and breaks his window and takes his wallet. He goes, now, I'm not talking about how, it's right that guy should have had his wallet stolen, but he's a real idiot for leaving his wallet on the dashboard. This is what's called a false equivalence fallacy.
Yes.
Y'all. Because in one sense, you're saying that women don't have any rights whatsoever. And in the other sense, you're saying a dude forgot something. That is a false equivalence fallacy. And this is the kind of shit that Doug Wilson peddles. And then he tries to weasel his way and soft pedal his way into promoting Christo-fascism. He said politics is about possibilities. And he's like, I can't impose a hard theocracy on the United States right now. But that motherfucker would if he could. But what he says he wants to do is overturn Obergefell, which allows LGBTQ people to get married. He wants to abolish the women's right to vote in the 19th Amendment. He wants to end abortion at any level, state, federal, municipal, whatever. So he might not get his hard theocratic state with his hyper Calvinistic whatever, but this man is close to power. And as Dr. Dumais says, he is intentionally deceptive. And when the reporter asked him, so what would Christian nationalism look like for you? He said, oh, it would be like fluffy clouds and rainbows, and everybody would be happy. I doubt very seriously that all of the women in your hierarchical, patriarchal bullshit system would be happy, or that any of the LGBTQ plus people would be happy, or any immigrants would be happy, or any Black Americans would be happy, or any Latinx Americans, or any other kind of immigrant that's here, or any indigenous person, because he's a paleo Confederate. And he can trace his lineage back to R.J. Rushdoony, who was one of the authors of Christian Reconstructionism, and Robert Dabney, a Confederate from the 19th century theologian who was a hyper white supremacist. And that's where there's a straight line from Doug Wilson back to Dabney. But he claims he's not a racist. But then he says things like white Americans should on Thanksgiving Day hold up a big fork full of white meat and thank God for the white privilege that they have, and even the white privilege that they don't know they have. Doug Wilson is a very dangerous man. And the reporter said, like his reach is kind of small. There's only 100 some churches and everything. But what I don't think she took into account is all of the kids that are in homeschool that are using his curriculum. All of the kids that are going to private Christian schools that are using the classical Christian curriculum that's promoting this Christo-fascist patriarchal bullshit that's not in it. It's all antithetical to the teachings of Jesus. It's all antithetical to the teachings of Paul, even, who said that the hierarchies don't fucking matter anymore. Stop thinking in terms of these hierarchies, you people in Galatia. And Jesus never told women to be subject to other people, and that they were asking for it if they didn't let their brothers protect them. No, what did Jesus say? If you look at somebody with lust in your heart, pluck out your fucking eyeballs. And then you won't do that anymore. Take ownership of your lustful actions. Not women deserve it. I'm begging you to stop asking for it. He is a slick weasel, and the thing is, I can't remember where I read this, but I've watched enough videos of him. He does have personality. He does have charisma, and so does every depiction of like the devil in a movie. You know what I mean? Or in the Lord of the Rings, where one of the hobbits is like, I thought he would look fairer and feel fouler. That's Doug Wilson. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and he is smug and arrogant, and he is a racist, and he is a Christo-fascist, and he is a misogynist, and he protected a pedophile in his own church. And then when that pedophile got married, guess who officiated the fucking wedding? Doug Wilson. So for all of those reasons, Doug Wilson is a repeat offender as a weekly representative of fundamentalist fuckwittery. And if you don't know who he is, there is a lot written about him, because he's been doing this, as he said, for 40 years. And now, as he claimed in that interview, his views are getting a more respectful hearing because of his ties to Hegseth. And he said, now, I don't tell Pete Hegseth what to do policy-wise, but if I write a blog and Pete Hegseth reads it, then he might, he might do something. He might take that into account. So Doug Wilson, y'all, if you don't know who he is, now you do. Go back to the August episode. I think it's number 9. The God Squad. There's a little bit more on Wilson. I wrote about him today on Substack too. Very dangerous man, and a wolf in sheep's clothing for sure.
And thank you for that, Dillon. In addition to all of that, one of the things that you might have covered this and I might have missed it, I don't think I did though, but is he wants to repeal the 19th Amendment. He doesn't believe that women should be able to vote. He said that also in that same, not in that, was it in that? It was in another interview.
It was in the same interview.
One? Yeah. Okay, earlier in that same interview, she asked him, what does a theocracy look like? What does that look like in this country? How do you enforce it? And she asked, would she be able to run for office? And he's like, no, not only that, you won't be able to vote. The vote is by the household, and the household is by whatever the head of the household, which is the man. And so he doesn't also believe in the 19th Amendment that women should be able to vote either.
Right. Because he believes that God has created a gender essentialist hierarchy. And
I feel ashamed for like secondhand shame for the women that follow. There's so many women that hold up the toxic patriarchy. So many of them.
Right.
And I'm just looking at them like, did you see that one progressive against 20 conservative women thing? It was like a debate. I can't remember the young man's name. Anyways, I was listening to some of those women and I was like, you can't be for real. You can't be serious.
Right.
The Kool-Aid is strong.
Were like, please take my right to vote away from me.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is some serious what do you call that syndrome? Where Stockholm syndrome. You can't uphold this shit without women holding it up. You can't. It collapses without women being brainwashed into it and holding it up. And there's many who do. And so many women vote against their own interests, vote against their own health, vote against their own well-being, and it's amazing to me. But that proximity to power, it does that. And speaking of white Christian nationalists, we're going to go on because this motherfucker that I'm about to talk about is also a white Christian nationalist. And I did not know about this foolishness and fuckery that he was into until we did Tell Me Everything what John Fuke was saying the other day. And that is the Del Partridge, who is pastor of Kingsway Reformed Church. And that probably, if you know anything about history, the name of that church probably should tell you everything you need to know. But Kingsway Reformed Church in Prescott, Arizona is where we are coming to you live with this motherfucker, Del Partridge. And I'm going to play a little bit of a video. I'm going to tell you what he says. I'm not going to play the whole video. But he said that Partridge claims, quote, that African peoples and some of the people from India are the modern day descendants of Ham, and that they have been assigned by, he's standing in a pulpit saying this. Okay. And you wonder why we have white Christian nationalists. They are being taught this. Are the modern day descendants of Ham, and that they have been assigned by God to be ruled over and dependent upon whites, Europeans, Asians, Jews, and Arabs, who are allegedly the descendants of Ham's brothers, Shem and Japheth. He says, given that God has sovereignly assigned different stations and trajectories to different peoples for his glory, that it is only proper for Africa, listen to what I'm about to say, and yes, he said this, it is only proper for Africa, and I want to say a whole continent, now listen close to what I'm saying, to be recolonized by white Christians, not just Christians. Pay attention now. What type of Christians, class? White Christians. Okay. Now listen what I'm about to say. He's using the same shit that they used on the slaves to tell them that this was God's ordained place for them and plan for their life. He said the Japhethites have been blessed to be enlarged in both territory and Christian regeneration. And that, quote, listen to what I'm about to say. The Hamites, people who look like me, the Hamites have been assigned to a civilizational station of subordination and dependence. And the answer to this paradigm is not endless foreign money. That's not the answer to this problem. The answer is, this is what he's saying, this is the godly biblical answer, is to return to European Christian colonization of African nations. And for those who think that I'm bullshitting, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna show you the video. Okay? You can watch. Oh, hold on one second. Let me find the right one here. Where are we at? Which one are we showing? At least I'm gonna try to show it to you. Hold on one second. Here we go. Let me get the right one. This is what this man literally said. There we go. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
All right, listen to this. It's so crazy, I had to give you a disclosure.
God has sovereignly assigned different stations and trajectories to different peoples for his glory. The Japhethites have been blessed to be enlarged in both territory and Christian regeneration. We see that in this passage. The Hamites have been assigned to a civilizational station of subordination and dependence. And the answer to this paradigm is not endless foreign money. That's not the answer to this problem.
What's the answer,
The
Reverend?
answer is to return to European Christian colonization of African nations. I believe that's truly the answer, and let me tell you why. It's the only thing that has historically worked, that has shown fruit. I'm not talking about overtaking Africa. I'm not talking about enslaving Africans. I'm not talking about exploiting Africans. But I'm talking about establishing order, godly leadership, and carrying the gospel to their lands. In fact, the only times that African nations have seen significant and sustained civilizational improvement, and I'm talking about infant mortality rates going down, I'm talking murder going down, I'm talking disease going down, tribal wars ceasing. The only time Africa has ever seen that happen in being sustained is when they have come under Japhethite supervision. We saw this in colonial Kenya, Botswana, dramatically in Rhodesia. White Christians
Oh, no, you didn't.
a broken third world territory into a thriving first world Christian nation in less than a century. You have a continent that has been struggling for literally millennia. And then you bring in a handful of European Christians, and they turn that in 100 years into a first world nation like that.
Okay, that's enough of that bullshit. Now, I think that the Africans would tell that story a little bit different. What you think, Dillon?
Oh my!
What you think? What you think about that sermon? What you think about showing up to church on Sunday, and that's the sermon from the Lord? That's what the Lord has said. You need to preach to the people. What do you think about that? That you showed up on church to worship God, and the word of the Lord is that you're in America now, okay? Showing up to an American church, Christian church, on Sunday to worship God, and the sermon over the pulpit on that day from God to the man of God is Africa needs to be recolonized by white European Christians.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I mean,
Because we are, what his word say, we're the Hamites, and it's God's will for us to be in a subordinate place, station in life, and that we need to be recolonized for the glory of God. What you think? What you think, Dillon? What you think?
that motherfucker needs to go take an African history class. I did when I was getting my history degree, and he clearly doesn't have a fucking clue. And to say, oh, I'm not talking about, being an overlord or oppressing. We're just going to bring white man's order, which is God's order. Very convenient for
Right,
you.
He's very specific about what type of Christians now. It can't just be
Right.
a regular old Christian. Can't be me.
Right. No, it has to be a white Christian and white
European
Christian
Christian.
order. Yeah.
To bring the Christian order. Now, a black Christian can't do it, okay? Indian Christian, an Arab Christian, a Mexican Christian, what else? What else we got? An Asian Christian. It got to be white European Christian now. And
Yeah.
we need to recolonize, because for the glory of the Lord, to reestablish the order, because they came in a century and just like that, change the whole civilization. You I don't know if my ancestors would have the same testimony that this guy has.
Right.
About what white Christian colonizers did. What you think?
Right. No. And a lot of people don't know about the Belgian, the genocide perpetuated by King Leopold in the Belgian Congo, when that's what it was called. They don't know about Cecil Rhodes in Rhodesia, which is not what it's supposed to be called. Cecil Rhodes was a white supremacist. They don't know that in Timbuktu, there were universities teaching amazing things while Europeans were still throwing their shit in the street. They don't know these things. And Dale Partridge is a white supremacist. He doesn't even try to hide the fact that he's a white supremacist.
Oh, no. He says, we black people, we got the curse of Ham.
Right, which is
by the way, that's the same thing the Mormons used to say.
Horseshit.
That's the same thing the Mormons used to say until the prophet got a revelation and said the curse was lifted. If the curse was lifted, well, I'm still black. You know what I'm saying? Just logical. Just following the rule of logic there. But yeah, he said we're under the curse of Ham, and that our station in life is that we should be subordinate to the other brothers, Shem and Japheth, and he calls the white Christians are Japhethites. Japhethites.
Ham, Noah, Shem, and Japheth did not look like me, y'all. Sorry,
none of them look like white European Christians,
right?
But if you let him tell it, white European Christians, the God is God for the glory of God. Now for the glory of God, not for capitalism, not for slavery, not because we want your land, not because we want your rare earth minerals or diamonds or gold or nothing like that, or oil or nothing like that.
No, just white God's glory,
just to bring some order to this civilization. For the glory of God. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Dale Partridge. And fuck your God, because me and you don't serve the same God.
No, that God ain't
because the God I serve would not be colonizing anybody for his glory. And the God you claim didn't do it. He didn't do it then, and he ain't fucking doing it now. Fuck you. Fuck your God. Fuck your theology, your doctrine, your dogma, and fuck your church. Fuck all of y'all.
Yeah.
Who want to say that God has, by the will of God, placed me beneath you for his glory. For all the reasons that he said himself, and I don't have to make it up.
Right.
Dale Partridge, the one who says God has assigned black people to subordination and says for the glory of God, the whole entire fucking continent of Africa needs to be recolonized by white Christians, can go to hell. This motherfucker, Dale Partridge, his whole church, and anybody that thinks like him can go straight to hell with gasoline draws. That's who is this motherfucker this week. Dale Partridge.
Yeah.
Who says black people stationed in life by the will of God is to be in subordinate positions for their whole life, and they need to be recolonized by white Christians. White Christians who are the descendants of Japheth. And we are the descendants of Ham. And I don't know who the descendants of yellow, brown, and red folks is, but I guess only white and people need to colonize black people only in Africa.
Yeah.
Not everywhere else that they are, just in Africa. And just white Christians. And for that reason, Del Partridge is 100% completely and thoroughly, through and through, top to bottom, front and back, this motherfucker this week and every week.
Yeah, that jackass, every week he doubles down on his racism, on his stupidity, and he is the one who has a Mexican wife, and said it's not ideal that she's Mexican.
And she said, can you imagine? His ideal wife would be white, but I'm so sorry I fell in love with this Mexican girl. I'm so sorry I fell in love with this brown chick.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but there's grace. There's grace.
Holding up the white patriarchy. And yeah, I fuck me. Dale Partridge. That clown.
He said that over the pulpit to the congregation. And he meant it.
Oh, he meant it. Oh, yeah, because he's as racist as the day is long, and he is as undereducated as you would expect somebody like Dale Partridge to be. That dude does also, like Doug Wilson, who is also a Reformed Calvinist, does not have a seminary Master of Divinity. He does not have a biblical studies degree. He has a certificate of completion for a hyper-Calvinistic course of study at a hyper-Calvinistic seminary. But it's not a full degree, and he's full of shit.
And they've been using that scripture for years to justify slavery.
Yeah.
To justify. What does he think colonization means? For him to say they need to be recolonized. That's the answer. They need to be recolonized. Right. We saw how that went. And your rosy interpretation of how that went down, I'm pretty sure is not how Africans would see it.
No.
Now, he is a Silicon Valley entrepreneur turned reform pastor.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that part. Okay.
So not only is he a right Christian nationalist, he also, of course, doesn't believe women should be voting. He doesn't believe in interracial marriage. So he believes that we should be repealing not only the 19th Amendment, but what is it? Is it 20th Amendment? Which amendment was Virginia v. Loving or whatever it was?
Yeah, Loving v. Virginia.
Yes.
It's interesting because he's in an interracial marriage.
Isn't that interesting? It's probably just
weird.
Black people. It's probably just Black.
It's probably just
It's always Black. It's always the Blacks. And then they say, why do Black people make everything about race? Why is every fucking thing about race?
Because white people
only a privileged person could be able to say that, because you can't wake up and not be Black.
Right.
You can't walk into the grocery store and not be Black. You can't walk into a clothing store and not be Black. You can't walk into the government and not be Black. Everywhere you go, your Black skin is the first thing that announces your entrance into the space, the place, the building. Right. Everything is going to be about race. Speaking of race, I want to say rest in peace to a young man that passed recently under a cloud of suspicion, which is 18-year-old Nolan Wells.
Yeah.
And my heart is breaking for this young man. Nolan Xavier Wells passed away recently. His body was found rather. He went on a trip with his friends.
His white friends in Mississippi.
His white friends. And he did not make it back. And the situation makes no sense. They said that he decided he was going to stay on an island. He didn't, but they had his phone. I don't know any teenager that is going anywhere without their phone. And I don't know any Black teenager that decides to stay on an island and says, yes, just leave me here and also take my phone.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead and leave me. And take my phone with you. Yeah, so I don't know, and not just this young man, and may the Lord give his family peace, and I hope they get to the truth. But there have been, I'm going to call them lynchings of Black men, and recently there was a young Black lady, and they're automatically and almost automatically deemed suicides
Right. Yeah.
I can tell you right motherfucking now. Our young black men and our young black women are not committing suicide by hanging themselves from trees in the public.
They are not.
And tell you that right fucking now. Now, if you told me that they OD'd on something, I might could believe that. If you told me that they got shot by somebody, I might can believe that. But if you tell me that a young black man or a young black woman was going through so much and their method of getting up out of this world was to hang themselves with rope from a tree in the public, I know you fucking lying.
Yep.
I'm not saying we don't deal with suicide in the black community just as much as any other community, but that particular method, I know you fucking lying. We're not hanging ourselves from trees in the public. We're not. And at some point, I hope that somebody cares enough to figure out what really is going the fuck on.
Yeah.
They don't place any value on black bodies. And that is why it's quickly ruled a homicide with no investigation, no meaningful investigation. They do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But I promise you, if young white men and young white women were found hanging from trees in the public, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of them,
Mm-hmm.
y'all be running around here looking for a fucking serial killer.
Yep.
You wouldn't be talking about their committing suicide.
No.
And I'm going to say again, I am not saying that suicide does not impact the black community. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that particular method, hell to the no. That's not how we're choosing to get up out of here. I don't care what we're going through. That's not how we're doing it.
Yeah. There's too much history, too much strange fruit.
Too much.
Billie Holiday
And as
sang.
far as I'm concerned, every one of them is strange fruit. It ain't not one suicide, in my opinion, that's not of a black young person. And they're young.
Right. And a couple of them were in Mississippi.
Yes.
Recently. And the one kid had bruises all over his body that's not consistent
with a hanging.
With
a self-hanging.
Right. Yeah. With the completion of suicide by a strangulation from a tree. No, that's not how that shit works.
No. No. I reject it. And no one can make me believe that we're doing that. We're not doing that. We can go out a few ways. We ain't going out like that.
Right.
And if we are hanging ourselves, we're not doing it in the motherfucking public from a tree.
Right. Yeah.
We're not doing it. And that's all I have to say about that. And I am so sorry that the end of this show has gotten so heavy. Do we have any good news?
We do have some good news. And there's actually a little bit more good news than usual. And you alluded to one of the things the court said, pay up.
Pay
no
the
more.
lady. No more of this
Eugene
bullshit.
Carroll's got to be paid. But in Florida, Ron DeSantis tried to create a new law, and a federal appeals court, according to the ACLU, the Stop Woke Act was signed into law in 2022, prohibited teachers and professors from discussing topics related to race and gender in the classroom. And a U.S. appeals court for the 11th Circuit struck down the higher education provisions of the Stop Woke Act, a classroom censorship law in Florida that severely restricted educators from teaching about race and gender in workplaces. Now, in a very similar vein, faculty at Texas Tech University have sued the Texas Tech University system for saying that they couldn't teach about race and gender identity or sexual orientation. So these fascist anti-woke laws are being struck down or about to be struck down. People are getting sued and whatnot. Now, the Trump regime just put out a big memo about how the Smithsonian is, let's see, what did it say? Accuses the Smithsonian of anti-white activism, illegal alien activism, and transgender activism. But Lonnie Bunch, the secretary of the Smithsonian, wrote a memo to staff that says, "We will not bow down to political censors, no rewriting of exhibits to whitewash slavery or erase the truth from the 250th. Curators aren't activists, they're scholars. America deserves real history, not a state-approved fairy tales. Keep your hands off our museum." So people are starting to push back against all that stuff that's in Project 2025. You can't talk about real history. You can't talk about the fact that gay and lesbian and trans and bi people and asexuals exist, and they've always existed. And you can't talk about immigration. So they don't.
You also can't talk about the fact that Trump got impeached. Remember, he wanted them to take that out of the historical biography of the presidents from under his name, they want them to erase that.
Yeah. So
you can't tell the truth, basically.
Right. That's some good news. There are some things that are happening in the country. There's pushback to the regime. It's not as much good news as I would like. There have not been any indictments or arrests. Another piece of good news, and it's good in a way. It's also horrifically sad in a way. But the Epstein survivors have created a website to share their stories, to make sure that story doesn't go away. Now that Todd Blanche has refused to produce what he was ordered to produce again, they keep trying to kick that can down the road. Folks, innocent people don't behave the way Donald Trump and Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi are behaving.
They do not.
They do not. So that, there is some good news out there, and we do need to find it because, as Desimber just said, shit is heavy, and black kids deserve to become black adults, and black adults deserve to become black elders, and black elders deserve to live long and happy lives without racist fucking interference. And so, we pray for that family. We pray that justice will be served, and that the Salgado Arroyo family also will get justice, that they will prove what happened in that killing by immigration customs enforcement officers. We were supposed to have Father Joash Thomas tonight, and he was traveling to the UK, and while he was over there, he got sick. That sometimes happens. People get on an airplane, you get to share all that lovely cabin air together. And so he's going to be with us next week, and we're going to talk about his book, The Justice of Jesus. And tonight, the word on the street comes from Father Thomas, and he says, the colonizer's gospel conveniently neglects the truth attested throughout Scripture, that the gospel of Jesus of Nazareth is spiritual and physical. After all, as I often say in sermons while teaching from Luke 4:18, if our gospel is not good news for the poor, freedom for the captive, recovery of sight for the blind, and liberation for the oppressed, then our gospel is not the gospel of Jesus Christ. And for those who don't remember, Luke 4 is when Jesus goes in and announces his ministry by reading from the scroll of Isaiah, and he says, and this scripture has now been fulfilled in your hearing. In other words, I am the embodiment of what the prophet Isaiah was saying. So Father Thomas is going to be here to talk about his book next week, and we're going to talk a lot about decolonizing our faith and theology and so forth.
Y'all go get it.
Y'all go get it. Yeah, y'all go get it. It should be a great conversation. Do us a favor. If you like the show, share the show with your friends. If you have questions, send us a question, because we're all over social media.
Send us a Bible question.
Send
or
us a
any
Bible
kind of question.
Send us a comment. But like, subscribe, and share the show. We're in the top 10% of all podcasts. We could get up in the top 5% with a little help.
Yeah, we're trying to build up our YouTube page. We just only started it not just a few months ago. So
yeah,
go on over there and like the God Squad podcast YouTube page. Please do that, please, if you can. And speaking of our subscriber, our 100th episode is today. Yay! So thank you. And we're like pushing 70,000 downloads or something like that. So shout out to all those who've been listening. I want to give a really special shout out to all our faithful. There's so many. If I start naming names, I'm gonna get in trouble. But there's one name that I do want to name tonight. And I'm not going to share the message that he sent to Dillon and I, but I am going to shout him out by name. And that is Mike Rowe. Rowe sent a very touching message. It literally almost brought me to tears. And we just never know what impact our show is having on people, whether they're people that are deconstructing their faith, or whether they're people who have been hurt in the church, or whether they're people who are dealing with a family tragedy that have fractured their faith and they're questioning whether or not God is real because of the trauma that they have gone through, or whether they're just somebody who is needing some hope and some joy. So just shout out to Mike Rowe, and to anyone who's out there under the sound of our voice. I want you to know, if nobody else says it to you today, that I love you. And I believe that Dillon does too. I believe that God loves you. But if you don't believe in God, I believe the universe loves you. And if you don't believe in the universe, I believe the earth loves you. And if you don't believe in that, I believe that you love you. And if you don't, I'm praying that you do. Okay, that you start to. But we spreading the love around. Okay, and I know I can be very bombastic at times, and I know I throw cuss words around a lot. But I do believe in God, and I do believe in Jesus. I don't believe in a lot of the bullshit that surrounds God and Jesus, and I don't believe in all the shit that's in the Bible. I eat the meat and I leave the bones, and I think that we all should do that. I think you should be asking, seeking, and knocking, like the scriptures say. I don't think that you should sit in the pews like dumb sheep. We're not called to be dumb sheep. We have the intelligent thought. We are sentient beings. We have the ability to live, move, and have our being from, I believe, God, the Father, Creator, Mother, whatever you want to call it. God is non-binary, as Talarico said. God is neither a man nor a woman. He is a spirit. Whether you say he or she, they or them, whatever you believe in. And I believe, as people who have been blessed to walk on this earth in our right mind, that we should always be asking questions. And we should always then question those answers. As much as we ask the questions, we should always question the answers as well. And I believe that if you're not doing that, that you cannot say that you're effectively operating in a faith that has no questions. Even Jesus asked questions. In his lowest moment, he said, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" That was a question. That was a question. He even asked in the Garden of Gethsemane, "Look, can we do this another? Can we do it another way? Can we do? Is there any other way we can get this done?" And so I believe in a faith that asks questions, and that does not make me backslidden or in a wicked mind or in a reprobate state, even though someone like to think that it does. It does not. I think that questions are courageous, and I think that doubt is divine, and I think that seeking is sacred. And so thank you to all those who have watched our show. I don't even care if it pisses you off sometime. Thank you for tuning. If you're rage watching, thank you for that. If you hate watching, thank you for that. If you're watching because you actually like the content, thank you for that. Thank you for supporting us for 100 episodes, and hopefully we keep rising. And speaking of rising, we have some good news about our God Squad segment with John Fugues on Tell Me Everything. Dillon, you want to share that news with them and close us out?
Yeah, we are moving to a new time slot because John's show, after many years at being from 9 to midnight on the East Coast, is moving from 12 to 3 in the afternoon. and the God Squad was picked as one of the segments to move along with that. So we're going to be on
One of
soon.
two. So
Yeah.
we're feeling very privileged about that.
Yeah. So us and the We're Still Here with Simon and Julie, Simon Moya Smith and Julie Franchella, the Indigenous activists who are part of John's team. We're going forward. We're going to be on Wednesdays from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. And pretty soon, Desimber Rose and Dillon Neighbor Cruz are going to be in the same room together.
For the first time.
For the first time ever.
We've actually never been in the same place at the same time physically. We've only ever seen and spoke to each other and done this show remotely. So for the first time ever, I'm going to be in the room with my brother and my buddy, Dillon Neighbor Cruz, and with John Fuqua saying. But I'm so excited to be coming up and to be in the room with you, Dillon. I'm so excited to be able to hug your neck and share the space with you. And so privileged and proud to be able to do this show with you. And who knows what the Lord will do. We're going to be in New York at the Sirius XM Studios on August 5th, doing our show live with John Fuqua saying. I think we're going to have to cancel our show for August 6th for our streaming live, because John has something planned for all of us that are celebrating together the promotion of the show. So I don't think we're going to end up doing our show on that Thursday, August 6th. So we'll be taking a vacation day. But we hung in there. And while we're doing that, let me just say a thank you to Keith Giles, who started the show with us and pulled us together. It was all three of us at first. And had he not done that, we wouldn't be here right now. So thank you. Right. Shout out to Keith Giles for pulling this show together and setting us on this trajectory. I don't know about the white Christians recolonizing Africa being the will of God, but I do believe this is the will of God for Dillon Neighbor Cruz and Desimber Rose and Jai to be doing the God Squad together. And I am so proud and so pleased and so grateful for you and to God and to Keith and to John and everybody, Thea and Chris and all those that made this happen.
Yeah, so we're going to be in New York City together in the first week of August. We're going to get to go down to the studio and do this like professional people. So we're looking forward to that. And so thank you all for being here with us. Tune in next week. We'll be here with Father Joash Thomas, a St. Thomas Christian, which we're going to get, I can speak English. We will touch on with Father Thomas next week, along with talking about his book. So thank you guys again. 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. And we'll catch you on the flip. See y'all next week.
Good night.